It's time for an unpopular opinion, because many out there might disagree with me, and if you do, leave it in the comment section. But I want to dive into what I consider to be the truth about the Hamas-Israeli war and what's going on in the region. And we are going to discuss the scorching truth about Hamas, the left wing's favorite terrorist gang that is strangling Gaza and who have it in their original charter the ultimate goal of not only destroying Israel, but the Jewish people as well. They have hijacked billions of dollars from the US, from Europe, all that aid. They've turned it, all those goods like water pipes, they fashioned them into bombs. They brainwashed their own people into a death cult.
كل بتاخد بالقوة برجع شغل بالقوة.
أقرأ اليهود.
يعني إنهم بيعلمونا بالمدرسة إنهم إرهابيين
إنهم هدول مش منيح وهدول بقتلوا قاعدين بشبابنا إذا بطعن.
And today, I want to expose how Hamas is the cancer that is eating Gaza and the world similarly alive, and why they are to blame for its destruction, and why Israel must obliterate them for good. I'm going to toss in a couple of counterpoints to keep it real so that you don't think I'm too one-sided, but there's no chance that I'm going to go soft. And if you have an alternate thought, tell me politely how I am incorrect, how I'm wrong, in the comments section. Look, Hamas is not your friendly neighborhood charity. It began born in 1987. It was a offshoot of the Muslim Brotherhood that has brought peace and strength and joy wherever it goes. The Hamas basically stormed the Gaza elections in 2006 and seized power in a bloody coup in 2007, where they murdered their opposition from the Palestinian Authority that might have been in the West Bank. Of course, this has to be set in the fact that in 2005-2006, Israel removed all Jewish people from Gaza and handed it over to the Gazan citizens to self-rule. And they basically said, this is yours. They left greenhouses there. And when Hamas came to power, they promptly destroyed the greenhouses because they weren't going to accept anything positive from Israel. They were going to give them absolutely nothing, their citizens, to look at that was good, that could be associated with the Jewish state. Because, it's in their charter, again, that they are going to wipe Israel off of the map. Hamas has been branded terrorist by the US, the EU, and Israel, and they run Gaza like a warlord's playground, pretending to govern while they stockpile rockets and preach jihad. Let's see how, and document, how they've accomplished to turn Gaza, which could be a resort on the Mediterranean, into an utter hellhole. Hamas has been pumping pure venom into Gaza's children. Their schools teach toddlers to hate Jews. A 2023 EU report slammed their textbooks for glorifying violence.
In Gaza and the West Bank, nearly 10,000 teachers and school administrators employed by UNRWA belong to Hamas-dominated unions, which call for the destruction of Israel. UNRWA is financing school curriculums that glorify terror and suicide bombing. Children are being inoculated with the belief that any and all means possible must be used to reclaim Palestine.
UNRWA students openly parade in the streets and call for Israel's destruction. All of this occurs in plain sight.
Summer camps there, more like mini-terror boot camps, training 10-year-olds to kill.
Within the watchful eye of UNRWA teachers, these students are between the ages of 8 and 10 and have already received military training.
Their TV shows and mosques churn out anti-Semitic filth turning kids into pawns for jihad. A 2023 poll says 53% of Gazans backed armed attacks on Israel. Hamas isn't building a future, they're breeding a death squad.
فلسطين عربية من المي للمية.
كيف عن حق العودة؟
هذا نرمى على اليهود حجار وندبح اليهود. إن نقتل اليهود وندافع عن وطننا.
لو شو ما يصير يصير مش رح يصير سلام. راح ناخذ حقنا والله ينتقم منهم إن شاء الله يموتوا كلهم.
Gaza could have been a Mediterranean hotspot, like Dubai, not the dystopia that has been turned into. Do you know how much money has been given? Over $10 billion in aid since 2005. That could have, again, gone to build resorts, schools, clean water. Instead, Hamas turns those funds into war materials, into weapons. A 2020 UN report says that 20% of the cement that goes into Gaza is turned into tunnels and rockets. The water pipes that I've mentioned, because this really bothers me, they're bombs now. Hamas issued videos bragging about this. This is how much they hate. And people will argue that 80% of Gazans are in poverty, and 90% of them actually drink sewage. Hamas's game plan, my friends, is clear. Screw the people, do not invest in infrastructure because it's more important to turn it into bombs. And Hamas burrows like rats underneath Gaza. They're building hundreds of kilometers of terror tunnels under the homes of its citizens, under schools, hospitals, mosques. These multi-million-dollar layers that were mapped by the IDF in 2021, they use them to smuggle in weapons and to plot attacks and to hide from Israeli airstrikes. Meanwhile, they fire rockets from playgrounds. They intentionally use their own children as human shields. The UN found rockets in schools in 2014. And when Israel hits back, when they protect their citizens, Hamas parades the body count. They glorify dead civilians as martyrs. And they milk them for global pity and to fatten their own wallets. Why do you think that so many of their leaders living in Qatar are at the Four Seasons and have billions of dollars in their family bank accounts? Not only that, when their own rockets that they fire from Gaza fail to make it over the border into Israel and they fall and kill their own civilians, who do you think that they point the finger at? They pointed at Israel for the death of their civilians. Of course, they prefer death to life. They brag about it. So in their mind, it's for the greater good. Whatever tragedy the death of a child might hold for the parents, it's worth far more to the Hamas group in terms of the PR that they gain from it. October 7th, that was Hamas's sick masterpiece. They stormed into Israel. They butchered over 1,200 civilians. Moms, kids, the festival goers. They raped, they burned people alive, and hacked them apart. They filmed it all. They bragged about it, and still you have people saying that Hamas committed no atrocities. Meanwhile, they also snatched 250 hostages, dragging them into the Gazan dungeons. And here is the kicker. The so-called innocent Gazan civilians joined into the mayhem and the slaughter. It was like a bloodlust bath. They looted, they killed, and per the IDF reports and survivor accounts, they did so willingly and with glee. The civilians. And you consider this to be resistance? It was a hate-fueled bloodbath, proving Hamas's cancer has spread into Gazan streets, into the minds of all their civilians after a generation of rule. Hamas does not take days off either, to their credit. Since 2001, they've fired over 20,000 rockets into Israel, aiming to kill civilians. In May of 2021, 4,000 rockets lit up the sky, terrorizing millions of Israelis. Even during so-called truces, they keep firing. 2023 saw nearly daily attacks before October 7th. Every rocket is a middle finger to peace, proving Hamas wants Israel gone for good, no matter how many Gazan citizens they drag down with them. Hamas doesn't just risk Gazan lives. Oh no! They cash in on their deaths. They park rocket launchers in neighborhoods, ensuring Israel's retaliation hits civilians. It's planned. And according to Gazan Health Ministry, over 30,000 of their civilians, quote unquote, died in 2023. Of course, considering the fact that the ministry is run by your favorite Hamas terrorists, you have to take these statistics to heart and believe every single one, because they couldn't have any possible ulterior motive that I might have outlined here earlier to exaggerate the deaths. Hamas calls this strategy, with leaders like Yahya Sinwar gloating that dead kids fuel their PR war. It's sick. They're not protectors, they are parasite, and they're sacrificing their own in order to play victim and to rake in more aid. Okay, you know what? I promised you that I would give you a counterpoint, so let's hear the other side, even in my opinion, if it's weak. Hamas's defenders say Israel's blockade since 2007 starves Gaza, with 45% unemployment, that's no good, and 80% poverty that I mentioned earlier. And this is what pushes people to back the Hamas quote-unquote resistance. They claim Hamas fills the gap with food and clinics and fights for Palestinian dignity after decades of occupation. Some even argue Israelis' airstrikes that kill thousands make Hamas rockets look like self-defense. It's a sob story, but does it hold up? My answer is cry me a river. The blockade sucks. But why did it begin? Because Hamas was using what was shipped to them to smuggle in weapons as well, that they used, of course, to kill as many Israelis as they could. They could have built hospitals or desalinated water with $10 billion. Instead, they chose to build tunnels and bombs. They hide behind their civilians and then scream when Israel fights back. Their propaganda turns kids into killers, not scholars. Hamas is not resisting. They are destroying. They are wrecking Gaza, and they are betting on the chaos to spread their ideological cancer. I say enough is enough. Hamas is not anything more than a death machine, and Israel cannot afford to play nice with them. In my opinion, they must be obliterated. I mean, every single leader, every tunnel, every rocket factory. No ceasefire, no half measures. Letting Hamas regroup is signing the death warrant for many more Israeli citizens in the future, and maybe for the nation state itself, and condemning Gazans to even greater misery. Israel has the firepower, and it is up to them to use it. Never let these terrorists crawl back to power. A Gaza without Hamas might finally be able to breathe. That doesn't mean that another terrorist group might not seize power using brutal techniques, but maybe they won't. Maybe Gaza could be rebuilt. But as long as Hamas is around, it's a war without an end. Hamas is Gaza's absolute curse and the nightmare of Israelis. They've bled their people dry. They've turned aid into weapons and unleash the horrors like October 7th. In my opinion, Israel has no choice. Wipe them out once and for all. Root and stem. But what comes after? Can Gaza rise from the ashes? I don't know the answer to that, but I do know what needs to be accomplished today. The future is unclear. So drop your thoughts in the comment section with your predictions, what I might have gotten wrong. And if you like this content, please smash this like button and subscribe for more no-hold-barred takes. God bless everybody out there, and may we have world peace. However that unlikely that is when ideologies battle as these ones do, and one is utter cancer.